think you minions should be able to hear me now. If not, then I'm just wasting my time. I suffered a setback by some stupid heroes. Fortunately for me, they were, like I said, stupid. I've escaped to a new hideout. I have stolen more parts. I have rebuilt my technology. I have returned to my nefarious efforts in order to take over all of this channel. Like previous episodes, we'll be discussing some ideas put forth on the Discord channel, My Villain, My Life. I encourage you to join before by enticing you with fame, as any good villain would. But that's not my goal. I want to build a Discord channel where everyone can share their what-if ideas with a helpful community. I'm not creating a contest where you all vie for my attention. Did I really just say that? I mean, it's true. Maybe I have been hanging out with too many do-gooders lately. Speaking of their ilk, prepare yourself, do-gooders. First up, what if Deku had Ultra Instinct as a quirk? From Spectacular Mystic. The only one left in the demonstration by the Big Three. Deku stares at Mirio. The older student returns the aggressive eye contact, trying to decide if he should use his other new power. He decides against it and rushes the kid. He phases down and tries to come up behind the other boy. Midoriya sees it coming. The green-haired child sidesteps the attack and catches the hand the moment it returns to being physical. With a grunt, he throws the larger kid over his shoulder and onto the ground. Admitting defeat, Mirio commends Izuku on his abilities. The two discuss how hard it was for them to get control of their powers. There are two ways that I could see to create this quirk easily. It could either give the user a prediction of the immediate future for like the next couple of seconds, or it could enhance the senses and instincts to the point of allowing him to estimate events about to happen. For the purpose of this discussion, we'll be utilizing the one that lets him see the next 2 seconds of the future around him. Initially, the thought was for the quirk to be activated, since it's based on a technique from Dragon Ball, but I like the idea that this quirk is always active. I believe he would activate this quirk early on in his life, probably around the same time as Bakugo's first use of his quirk. The stimulation is overwhelming. As his brain tries to live in the moment while processing the future, it sends him into a catatonic state. He spends the first few months of having his quirk just sitting there drooling. Though it takes time, his young brain learns to understand both sources of input. He becomes aware of his surroundings and returns to living a mostly normal life. Despite getting a quirk in this what if, he's still bullied because his quirk can cause him to do some very weird things. One example is that the boy gains a tendency to start answering questions as they're still being asked. It makes him the oddball and creeps people out. Due to this, Bakugo is still mean to him. Midoriya comes to the conclusion that he needs to start training himself. After a year of this training, the boy is mostly in control of what and how he reacts to the world around him, but his quirk still seems useless to him and the kids in his class. His mother suggests trying to improve his reflexes. If the boy has fast reflexes, then his quirk would be more useful. With that advice, Izuku begins training his body. Like the other training, it takes great effort. By the time we would see him in episode 1, he is not the meek child that we see in the show. He has trained his whole body to react as fast as possible. Deku and Bakugo would have worked out a lot of their issues already at this point, since Deku's quirk is actually really useful. I see them being almost a rivalry now, at the beginning of the series. Deku enters UA without getting one for all, and that is about as far as we got with this one. But I like the thought of it a lot. I see a few ways this power set could be developed throughout the story of MHA. Maybe he could see further into the future with more practice. Maybe he can train his body in certain reactions to make them almost automatic. Automatic reactions are way faster than conscious ones. Do you like the sound of this one? Have a better idea for it? Drop it in the comments below, and I'll peruse through them if it suits my fancy. Next up, we have what if MHA took place in the world of Dragon Ball? This was inspired actually by a couple other ideas, one from LEGO Comic TV and one from SADP. A monster quakes in fury at the audacity shown by those below him. He reaches down with an enormous paw and squashes a handful of them. His tail knocks a building down behind him. Screams, followed by silence, fill the air. Then the bullets fly again. They bounce off the thick fur of the giant great ape. The bullets run out as the beast roars, a blast of energy flying from his mouth. Another city is destroyed that night. Everywhere, the people of Earth cower in fear. In this, Goku is still obviously a Saiyan, and an angry and savage one at that. In fact, The night that he killed his grandfather during a transformation was the beginning of his conquest of Earth. After several attacks destroy major cities around the planet, Kami uses the Dragon Balls to wish for the people of Earth to have a fighting chance. All over the world, people begin to exhibit powers. These quirks range from useless to impressive. That said, not a single one of these powers can stand against the beast on their own. Many tried, and most of them died. Thus, the world created the Heroes Association. Together, they were able to finally figure out a plan to stop the beast. Using their various abilities, they were able to track the giant ape and kill him when he transformed back into a child. The world never knew the truth about the beast, only that it was no longer a threat. Earth's greatest scientists studied not only the new phenomena of quirks, but the alien biology of Goku. Peace returned to the Earth. Knowing that there were such terrible monsters out there, most quirk users joined the association. They became what would be known as pro-heroes. They work hard, day in and day out, to keep the peace. They take on both Emperor Pilaf's and King Piccolo's armies. The Namekian is added to the stash of alien biology in the secret lab. Years later came the second Saiyan attack. Searching for his brother Kakarot, Raditz arrived on Earth. When his pod crashes down, he faces that lowly farmer who's not so lonely anymore. Even so, he falls. Upon scanning the planet, the Saiyan is surprised by the number of high battle powers on it. He goes to each of them looking for his brother. Each time, he is disappointed by what he finds. Eventually, he finds out that his brother was killed, and his body is being studied. He destroys the facility, awakening the androids that Gero had been creating to combat the alien menace. All 10 of them arise. Led by the well-natured but protective Android 8, they defeat the Saiyan. I hear you saying it, that I'm crazy, these androids couldn't do that. Well, these are not the droids you were looking for. Based on technology that mimics the Saiyan and Namekian biologies, these machines not only harness an artificial ki, but can grow stronger with every defeat. Some can even stretch their limbs or change their size. The androids that were defeated rebuild themselves, growing stronger. Raditz's corpse is added to the genetic pile. Research continues. Nappa and Vegeta do not come to Earth until a lot later than canon. There's so much more that could be done with this, but I'll leave the rest of it up to you. Drop your thoughts after the video. And lastly, we have What If Goku Was Only a Human in Dragon Ball by Mango Insurance. In a scene almost biblical, an old man watches a baby floating down the river in a basket. He hears the child laughing and sees the little arms waving. With a smile on his face and a quick step, he pulls the basket out of the water. He coos at the child, trying to seem friendly. He gets a response that melts his heart. There's a note left in the basket with a few details, including mention of a few terrible events that led to the child's abandonment. Letting out a soft sigh, the man silently grieves for what the child has lost. A tug on his mustache by a tiny hand snaps him back to the present. Smiling wider, he says something about the boy already being a fighter. The very short answer to this one is that Goku would die. There's a reason that Bulma is so surprised that the kid she hit with her car survived, which also means that he would have died when he... Wait, he wouldn't have fallen off the cliff. He would have been a normal baby and would have been raised like any good little boy. So Grandpa Gohan would not have died due to Goku turning into a giant monkey. Instead, he'd survive until heading out to do some fishing while Goku chops wood. On his way back home, the old man is struck by a car. Bulma is distraught at first, but decides that she can just wish the geezer back to life instead of wishing for her boyfriend. Leaving him there, she heads for the Dragon Ball and finds the man's adopted grandson. She only tells him that the old man died, but can be brought back to life. Goku joins her in order to get back his only family that he's ever known. This changes so much of Dragon Ball. I definitely still think that Goku would die, but who really knows? Think you know what he's doing? What about after death? Could he still learn Kaioken? Can humans learn Kaioken? Drop your thoughts in a comment down below. I won't steal them or anything. Didn't run away from that. People usually can't stand the silence. I bet you thought that I forgot the customary like, comment, and subscribe. Yeah, and that dumb bell thing. Well, I haven't. We didn't post a video for over 3 months, and you guys still jumped on board as my minions. You know what needs to be done.